Welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian fishing podcast hosted by Rody and Diz. The boys will share their tall tales of the one that got away, as well as some regular segments they know all you fishing tragics will enjoy.
G'day and welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian Fishing Podcast. Dizzy, episode 85. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be aboard, Rody. Huge episode this week. Asher Dezsery from RecFish SA, of course, Executive Officer, doing a huge amount of work for all of us rec fishers and fisher girls and everything else. Huge episode.
Diz, we were putting the news together in the last few days and it was pretty much RecFish this and RecFish that. So we just said we'll get them on.
Yep, good call. And we will in the news segment. Not that I like to get ahead of myself, but when we do get to the news segment, we will skim through a few topics and give like a high level detail before we get stuck into our conversation with Asher later on, Rody. But of course, before we do get into all of that, we've got our regular segment, Oranges and Lemons, which you like to get underway with. So take us away, Rody. What's been the orange?
Dizzy, I'm going to throw it back to our last episode. Paul Worsteling, iFish.
Yep.
New series. Start on the weekend. Give me a bit more watching.
Yeah. Did Lil love it?
Oh, I dogged Lil, watched it without it.
Oh, rude. Lil
I'll be in the bad books.
With you.
He was out with Robson Green. Maybe we should try and get him on the podcast.
Oh, he'd be a big get. Internationally, Robson would be up there with one of the most famous fishermen.
Anglers? Yeah, for sure. So anyway, iFish is back. That gives me a bit of fresh TV because I've just about watched every fishing show on all those sort of catch-up TVs.
You love having iFish on like 10 play.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I know, but all of the seasons.
Yeah, I've watched them all.
Yeah, I know.
There's none left.
It's so good because you can rewatch them. Yeah. Okay, all right. My orange is that we're brewing up a weekend away, mate.
We are, Diz.
It feels like
it's been a while, hasn't it?
Feel like it's been a while.
We had to Port Hughes about a month ago.
That was a June long weekend. Yeah,
that wasn't that long ago. And it's been crap weather ever since.
It's been horrible weather. But mind you, last weekend was good weather.
Yeah, and that's my bloody lemon. Should have gone out.
Yes, I know. That's a good little roll into your lemon.
We tossed. Well, you didn't really. You were moving house, so you were no fun to me. You were not going to come.
Yeah.
But I did. We tossed and we turned and we didn't go. And then bit of a friend of the show, a fella named Jake Keller, sent us a video actually of his trip back to North Haven on Sunday morning after getting the bag in his All the Gear beanie.
How good.
And it was an absolute mill pond.
Yeah.
So that made me very jealous and regretted not going out.
Yeah, when you get those days, it's just so nice being out there on the water. And Saturday was a bit drizzly and ordinary, but Sunday, by comparison to the weather that we've had, was actually pretty good.
Yeah. What's your lemon, mate?
Well, Rody, my lemon is, of course, going to be the forecast this weekend.
Yeah, it's got a touch better, but it's still windy, isn't it? Oh, and raining, I think.
And like just as we were talking about how last weekend was looking so good, like it's just the way that it goes when you book a weekend. And you're hoping for good weather to get out and do this, that, and the other. Bloody weather gods. Come on, Huey. Lift your game. Anyway, all right, Rody, let's give the listeners a bit of a...
Who's Hugh?
Huey. You know, the Huey gods.
Oh.
The weather gods. Jeez, that's random. Right, Rody, let's give the listeners a merch update.
That'd be our comp winner, wouldn't it, Diz?
Yeah, but of course we talked a bit about Jake's beanie.
Yeah, we love the beanies.
Get a beanie up into you.
Yeah, there's still some in the tub. We got to get rid of them.
Yeah. Actually, Dad wants one.
Does he?
Yeah.
I've got a few in my car. I might take it over to him.
Okay, good call. Right,
let's go. Get in contact if you want a beanie.
Get onto the monthly comp. So this comp, we had an enormous amount of entries and some excellent photos, Rody.
We did, Diz. Did you like the little reel I put together for all the listeners?
Yeah, you've been doing some of your better social media work. I'll agree with that.
And it was a tough call for the winner, wasn't it?
It was. There was some really great photos coming through. Some people sort of turned the clock back 10 years. Megan Rankin, she's gone, bang, here, taken 10 years ago. You go, all right, well, that was not a bad feed 10 years ago. But you've got some really great entries in there. A lot of King George being caught. Some absolutely monster fish.
Yeah, Lisa Jarvis sent in a couple of pictures of her young fella.
Yeah, that fish looks huge. Caught off Victor Harbour a couple of years ago.
I think there was two, and I think she said one was 56 and one was 54, I think.
Yeah, epic. You love that. But what I was really loving as well, Rody, was fish coming in from all across the state. So we had people doing Tumby Bay, some Victor, plenty from Yorks, plenty from Metro. So it was really good to see that spread.
We had land-based. We
did have some land-based.
That
was good. You know what I would have loved to have seen is somebody getting the bag off, sending in a photo when they got the bag off the Kingscote jetty.
We didn't have the Kingscote jetty, but Troy Donhart said my first bag off the planks.
Yeah,
that's good. That's really living the dream, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're bagging off the planks, then you're on to an absolute winner.
Two others we should mention that were up there in contention. Kelly Harvey, she sent in the two fillets. A 32 centimetre whiting next to a 50 centimetre whiting. It's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
As they get longer, they just get wider, fatter.
They do.
Thicker.
And they still taste just as
they
good.
They do. And another one we liked was Brenton Crabb, who had him and his mate trying to catch the whiting, and the photo caught it midair.
Yeah.
How good was that one? We love that one too.
All right, Rody. Well, that was a good little summary of the entries, but now's the time for the main event. Tell us who has won. I'm pretty good at a drum roll. Shall I? Actually, if special effects was any good, Rody, we'd have a little button for this on the podcast mixer. Maybe next time. Maybe that could be your homework. Comp. All right. Well, you ready for the drum roll?
Yep. Give it to us, Diz. That actually wasn't too bad, Diz. I'm going to give the winner. The winning name is Dylan Hancock.
Dylan Hancock. Congratulations. What a prize. Shimano has come through with the absolute goods on this prize for you. Dylan, you've got yourself a Shimano Sedona 2,500. You've got yourself a Raider 722 rod. Lovely little outfit there, especially for chasing the tings. Probably better in your shallow water sort of ting operations, but lovely little backpack, stubby holder. You got yourself a Squidgy's cap, and of course, to keep that noggin warm in winter, you've got yourself an all the gear beanie.
Well done to Dylan, and it was a nice little picture of a good size whiting that his daughter, I assume, his little girl caught.
Yeah, great photo.
And I'm actually looking here, and he also sent one in of his son.
Yeah, love getting the family out on the boat.
So he took his kids out, got a picture of both of them. They were both big fish. That one in particular that his daughter's holding, that's a good size fish.
Yeah, absolutely is, Rody.
And we liked a number of things about the picture. She's got her life jacket on, doing all the right things.
Yep.
Big smile.
Looked like nice weather in the background.
She's doing a pretty good job of handling the fish.
Yeah.
She knows how to hold a fish.
Yeah, that's good.
He's taught her well. So Dylan Hancock, congratulations. We'll get in contact with your prize.
Yeah, we'll get in touch with you. And huge thanks to Shimano, of course, for what is an absolutely amazing prize pack. And thank you to all the entries. We can't wait for the next one because we've got it in the pipelines, Rody. We're not going to give too much away, but we've got another one coming up over the next few months.
And obviously keep the photos coming because we are back to our normal monthly prize of the backpack, the cap, the stubby holder. So keep the photos coming.
Love it, Rody. Well done. All right. Well, let's get into the next segment.
Rody and Diz have been searching far and wide to bring you the latest news across all fishing in the state, and we'll give you the rundown on what you need to know.
Righto, Rody, it's a big news week, that's for sure, and we are going to cover a lot of these things in further detail with our chat with the guest today, Asher Dezsery, later on in today's episode. So let's just go through a few things that we really want our listeners to be aware of, Rody. So RecFish SA have announced the SnappBack program. It's a proposal at the moment, basically engaging with the community to get their input into getting the snapper fishery back on board.
Yes, Diz, that's something we look forward to hearing from Asher about, so we won't go into much more on that one, will we?
No, absolutely. There's also some consultation at the moment about the proposal for the wind farm off Port Mac. Of course, you've got Chris Bowen and his bunch of morons out there, excuse me, about coming up with these drastic ideas that are ridiculous. They have not understood the consequences. We'll hear from Asher in more detail about that, and he'll probably articulate himself a bit better than I just did there, Rody. But there's a couple of surveys out which we really want all of our listeners to jump on board, get around it. This will have an enormous damage to the fishery on a very wide scale, and we don't want to see this go ahead, do we, Rody?
We don't, Diz, certainly not, and we are going to again hear more about that from Asher.
Rody, what else we got? We've got the RecFish Tourism Strategy Survey.
Yes, that's another one we want you to jump on. That's something between the SA Tourism Commission and the RecFish SA. Again, we're going to talk about that one in a bit more detail, but again, jump on the Your Say website and get involved in that one.
Beautiful. And another couple of items that Asher will cover off in more detail later today is the Opera House ban and some incentives that are being introduced, an increase in the total catch. We'll get some really good insights from Asher about the snapper fishery, particularly down in the southeast. Rody, what else have we got in today's news segment?
All right, we've been through the sort of heavy stuff with RecFish there that we're going to get back onto in a minute. This is a bit more of a, fun or funny or weird or something. This is a headline here. Fishing crew denied $5.1 million in prize money after a 280-kilo marlin disqualified in tournament.
Oh.
That reminds me of that bass where they fed all the bass to the little bass to the big bass.
Yeah.
But amazing that the prize is $5.1 million.
Huge prize.
So
there we were thinking the Port Lincoln Classic was a good prize.
And the reason they got banned is funny too. A shark took a bite out of one of the crew's winning fish, and that was the massive marlin, and they were disqualified for having mutilated fish. I would say if you caught a fish that had a chunk missing out of it, you should have won by more.
Yeah, but they do say that. It's like in tuna, if it gets sharked, you're done.
Yeah, it's mutilation.
That's right. Very good, Rody. So let's move on to our next little news story today, Rody. Of course, I did want to cover off the Second Valley jetty damage and closure. So there's been a temporary closure put in place. There's a photo that's been circulating on the web around the Council of Yankalilla, I reckon. It's a really interesting photo because it's been pretty badly damaged, the jetty.
And I think that was in the recent winds, high waves, the storm a couple of weeks ago, Diz. So it says a portion of the Heritage Jetty Causeway has unfortunately collapsed. So it's closed for the moment while it gets reviewed and a plan is arranged.
Yep.
Planned.
Yeah.
Come up with. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah. Okay, next little news item, Rody. This is a nasty one, isn't it?
This is a nasty one, but again, sort of in a funny way, semi-humorous. Am I allowed to say that?
Well, you wouldn't be if it were you.
No, I wouldn't. But this is a freak surfing accident in Indonesia. Nearly left a Perth man blind after a fish flew out of the water and speared him in the nose.
So this is... I can see how some people might find it humorous.
And it's like a garfish. Or equivalent.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're the same garfish as we have here.
Yeah, but because it's not like a swordfish or
no, it's like a garfish type operation.
Yeah, it's a small, but it's quite amazing how cleanly it's impaled the nose of a surfer.
And then snapped off.
Yeah.
So the garfish beak went through his nose, the garfish flapped around, ripped its own beak off basically.
That would have hurt,
and the beak was left lodged through the bloke's nose.
I think the shock would have really probably masked some of the pain at the time. But that would have been, interesting way to get yourself a nose piercing.
And there's a picture here on this news.com.au article we're reading off here, Diz, and the part of the garfish beak that was removed from the bloke's nose, it's toothy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not your regulation sort of southern garfish.
And in all seriousness, it does say he was only half an inch away from losing his eyesight.
Yeah, that's pretty gnarly.
So that probably makes me feel a bit bad for saying how humorous it was.
Yeah, I hope you do feel bad.
His name's
you might want to
Steve
reflect on
Kazik, so I do feel a bit bad for Steve.
Okay, all right. Well, shout out to you, Steve. Not your typical injury you see when surfing. Definitely better than being taken by a shark or anything like that, but still an interesting surfing injury, Rody.
Exactly right, Diz. And that was, we're going to call that a brief news because we're touching on a lot of it coming up.
Yeah, look, we when planning this episode, we really didn't want to go into a lot of detail that we're going to rehash over with Asher. It's safe to say, and you will hear this later on, that Asher is far more across these issues than we are. He's been putting in a huge amount of hours to advocate for the RecFishers, and we love that, Rhodey. So without further ado, let's move on to our next segment, which is, of course, the tackle item before we get the guest on.
Now it's time for Rhodey and Diz to really show you what it means to have all the gear with a lot of idea as they review a tackle item of the week.
Diz, here we go. This is a good one. It just arrived in the post.
Yep.
It is a Jabsco 12-volt hotshot 4.0 deck wash pump.
Great pumps.
It's for our boat. The last one had it.
Yeah, look, I mean, you're talking about, and everybody who owns a deck wash knows that they can be fickle things at times.
Yeah, I think anything that's designed to pump salt water through it for its whole existence is never going to last forever.
Yeah, and I mean, look, the more and more you see these days, particularly your really modern, expensive boats, is going to have a freshwater component to some of their washdowns. They might even have two, but still doesn't change the fact that you want to be able to pump some salt water. Sometimes if you might be out barrel fishing, you might be out there catching some tuna, whatever, you might want to create yourself a good little slurry.
Yeah.
An ice water slurry, and you're going to do that best with some salt water because you don't want to do that with the fresh.
It's a game changer for cleaning the squid too.
Oh, it is.
Cleaning the ink off.
It really is. You don't want to be drowning your gear in salt water. So let's point that out.
Yeah, we're not using it to wash reels.
There going, let's just rinse my reel off. That is a bad idea. But what you do want to be able to do is, all right, well, we're finished whiting fishing. We're moving on to the squid here. All right, let's just blast down the bait board, get rid of a bit of cockle juice, get rid of the cockles off the side, get, a bit of a wash down, and you start again. And like you say, if you get that squid in the boat and it inks all over the place, you got to get that stuff off quick. Otherwise, you're going to be looking like a pro squidder before long with those black ink marks all over the place.
Another good feature is a quick little wash down of the hands before you get into your sausage rolls and party pies out of the pie warmer.
Good call.
Nothing wrong with that.
We have covered in a previous tackle item of the week, of course, is getting yourself a little pump pack of soap on board.
Yep.
Shout out to Andrew Harris. We love that from you.
Anyway, Diz, the features of this, it's a 4-chamber quad diaphragm operation with a heavy-duty wide diameter motor. It's up to 15.1 litres per minute flow rate.
Yeah, so it's got a really good output.
So it's good, Diz, and we were happy with the last one. It had a long life.
Yeah.
And we got a new
proud.
one. So that's the tackle item of the week, Diz.
Good stuff, Rhodey. Well, now has come the time, Rhodey. Let's get our guest on the line.
Now it's time to get our guest on the line. We'll ask them the all-important 5 questions, then chat all things fishing in SA.
Dizzy, we are very privileged to be joined by the Executive Officer of RecFish SA, Asher Dezsery. Asher, welcome to the show for a second time, I think it is.
No worries at all. Thanks heaps for having me.
Yeah, excellent, mate. It's great to have you back on. And we were just saying off air, you've been a very, very busy bunch of people at RecFish, and no doubt you've been involved in everything that's been going on. So give us a bit of an insight, mate. You've like I say, you've been busy. There's been lots going on. Give us some insight.
Yeah, so the last couple of weeks have been flat out for me. We've had several minister meetings. We've had a meeting with the Premier and the Treasurer. We've done a heap of stuff on Yabby Nets, which is the Opera House phase out. The SnappBack project proposal has gone public and live. So that's a snapper stewardship program to help everyone get involved in what's going on with the snapper science. Port Macdonald is a massive concern for people, and we've really knuckled down on ensuring that South Australia's voice is heard there, because that's going to have a profound effect on South Australia and has the capacity to really mess things up. So that's not ideal. That's all off the top of my head I can think of, but I'm sure I'll think of a little bit more as we go on.
You've just about covered our whole rundown in one little 30-second spiel, Asher. So you've just about done our job for us.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with what you just mentioned. Let's talk about the Port Mac stuff. You told us you've just been down there. Tell us about that. Tell us about what's happening, what the issue is, and how it's going to affect rec fishing.
Yeah, so the Southern Ocean Care Group is the community down there that I've been engaging with. So Port Macdonald, if people haven't been down there, is an amazing fishery. It has a tiny population of 600 people. And fun fact, the Minister, Claire Scriven, actually comes from there. So there's a bit of an interest there on that part. As it's her hometown.
She's got to look after us then.
Yeah, that's right. You'd think so. So primary industries is her portfolio, has a massive capacity to mess it up. So it's been proposed 77 wind turbines would be installed off Port Macdonald. Port Macdonald is interesting because less than 30 k's offshore, you've got the continental shelf. And because of that, it's hugely popular with small boats being able to access incredible fishing. So you got the barrel run that happens every winter, which is has already kicked off and is has its ebbs and flows. And then you've obviously got the hapuka and blue-eye trevally and everything like that off of the shelf, and even a swordfish has been caught there. So it has the potential to be a really amazing swordfish fishery. It just needs someone to wire it. So we're hard doing that. But anyway, the wind farm will be installed on top of the entire stretch of sort of Point Douglas all the way to Portland. And, the environmental effects of those things are proven to be disastrous internationally. So it's a real concern that the Commonwealth have sort of put that sort of target on the back of South Australia.
And tell us, Asher, so there's concerns for all those species. I know the lobster, the the barrel tuna will be affected. Do you think they're all going to be affected equally?
Yes. So obviously with high energy, high voltage electricity, you get a lot of magnetisation that affects navigation systems in, all marine life, but also it affects larvae and eggs for crustaceans, so prawns, crabs, lobster specifically. There's a $250 million industry there for lobster, so they're quite concerned as it will immediately impact themselves. The effects will be across every species above and below the waterline. So we really need to make sure that we all get involved in weighing in on that decision and sort of make sure our voices are heard.
And you make a good point there, mate. That was what I was going to ask you next. So tell the listeners out there how they can have their voices heard, because number one, we'll thank you for your efforts in advocating for all of us rec fishers, but how can we help? There's a survey out, right? We need to get on there and get our voices heard.
Yes, so RecFish SA have got a survey up there. It's very quick, it takes 30 seconds to do. And we will combine all of those and take them to a report. There's word of taking RecFish SA over to Canberra next month. Yeah, we're in July now. So, throughout August, and sort of making sure that we're represented on a federal level. So I'll be headed over there likely in August. And there's also a Your Say link for the government survey. Please do both. It's really, really important. Like I said, this doesn't just affect Port Macdonald, it affects all fishing in South Australia. And it's really, really interesting. The more you dig into it, the more you learn about Port Macdonald and why the Southeast is absolutely amazing as a fishery. And there's just a huge abundance of information out there. But tune in, listen to us, and we'll try and consolidate it as much as we can so it's easy to understand.
Beautiful, Asher. Yes, we love the Southeast. We love Port Macdonald. It's a great little spot, and we have shared both of those surveys, but we'll make sure we put them up again so all the listeners can access them.
Perfect.
All right, now the next big topic we wanted to talk about, and you did mention it briefly, but can you tell us all about the SnappBack program? Because this snapper ban is the number one thing on everyone's minds, and all the fishos, what they want to get sorted, and this is a great step in the right direction.
Yeah, so straight off the bat, I'd like to say that a lot is going on with the snapper scene, even though it's not sort of broadly reported. So 3 years in, it was extended, and off of that, there's a snapper science committee that's happening. That $8.8 million recovery package that was announced is going through the contracting stage, essentially, of what's being done from a scientific perspective, what projects will be funded, and how that will be communicated to involve the community. So SnappBack is a community stewardship program. You've probably all seen the Tuna Champions, which is hugely popular throughout Australia, but the SnappBack program is tailored for South Australians. It's to get South Australians involved and make sure that they're being engaged with, and not just on social media. So we're really shying away now from like, social media is great, but you can't be reliant on that 100% to engage the community, especially we've got all sorts of different ages and demographics. So it creates not only an educational outlet, but an involvement outlet where people can weigh in on how reefs look, for example, and learn about why the snapper are in different areas. So we hear a lot about people saying they're seeing a huge amount of snapper in their area. There's plague proportions. That's fantastic, because the reason why you've got juvenile snapper is they're utilising particular substrate depending on their life cycle. So those snapper grow until they reach the next stage of the life cycle, and then they move off to a different area. So usually when you're finding them on the whiting ground, it's because they're in that sort of, tiny sort of 150, 250 mil range, and then they shift off somewhere else. So it's all of these things that need to have a lot of communication put into them, and things like fish releases, the whole lot. So SnappBack will encapsulate that entire program and make sure that people have live information and can be involved at workshops, get the scientists coming out and presenting information and presenting the findings as it becomes available, rather than waiting for a report and trying to disseminate all the information later on.
Yeah, so that's been launched recently, and that's just going to continue for the duration. Is that the plan? You're going to sort of trickle out information as it comes to hand?
Yeah, so that's just a project proposal. And we're pending some discussions that will happen over the next few weeks. We would love for that to get up and moving. If it doesn't, to be honest, I'm not sure where the public will fit into things. So like we said, we can't rely on social media anymore, and we can't also, as a recreational sector, just sit on our hands and wait for things to sort themselves out, or be told how to feel and think really on the issue. It's a significant issue, and the recreational sector are the biggest stakeholder and the most weighty in terms of economic turnover. So it would seem absolutely insane to sort of not involve 360,000 people in the best of their ability.
Yeah, it would. So fingers crossed that gets up, Asher. Now, we want to keep on the snapper side of things just for another minute. We did see something recently on your social media about sort of querying whether the bag limit could be increased in the southeast snapper fishery on the background of an increase of the total catch. Is that right?
Correct, yeah. So with a stock assessment, a fun thing about the southeast zone is our fish actually come from Victoria. So there's a really cool DNA study done by Flinders University, and that backs up that theory that those well-defined Gulf populations are all different schools of fish that don't really combine as much. So where that line's being drawn around about Victor Harbour, that's been backed up by DNA samples. So they'll sample DNA and it will tell them that those fish are from Victoria. They'll sample some from Spencer Gulf, and there's none of that DNA in the southeast zone. And they'll if you get what I'm saying, is that they're not mixing.
Yeah.
And this DNA is very advanced study. It's not like an ambiguous sort of how you're going study. It's very, very tight in terms of its accuracy. So they can actually see by clipping the fin where these fish have come from. So the southeast zone from Victor Harbour on comes from Port Phillip Bay and that area. And it's a hugely, what a crazy outcome that Victoria is so successful at managing their snapper, or in fact the snapper are so good at breeding there that they're actually now contributing to our own stocks.
It is amazing.
So it's just incredible. So those fish are coming over here. I think about April they're expecting another flush, and they're going to occupy the southeast zone. So that supports an increase in total allowable catch, and that's for charter, commercial and recreational. And then out of that TAC, it gets divided into those different sectors. So if the commercial sector gets an increase, the charter and the recreational also get an increase, and vice versa. If the recreational increase, the commercial and charter get an increase. But throughout all of the sectors, no one caught their entire entitlement in terms of per fish. So it's a very low risk fishery, and also that's deemed sustainable. So we could. I'm not. I won't try and profess to be an unreal, fantastic marine scientist, but it's safe to say that we could remove that sort of population from the immediate conversation, and we can start to explore an increase in the bag limit. So we've already got an increase in the allowable amount of fish because we didn't catch them all. I'll push for an increase in the bag limit so that when you do find a school, you can take 2 fish out of it, not just one. And that's just an example. But, it's if you're going to go out and fish for snapper, it's easy to find a couple of fish than just one. So currently the bag limit's 1 each. So we'll try and get that bag limit increased so people that are going out can actually give it a red hot crack and come home with a feed of fish.
Yeah, absolutely. We love that. Yeah, that's some excellent insights there, Asher, and does give a really good explanation as to, I guess, some of the shortfalls and around the challenges that we face ahead around making sure that the population is sustainable and we can get back to fishing for those big reds that we love, but really appreciate and all the advocacy that's going on in the background to allow us to get access to some of that fishery in that zone. So that's really good. Asher, let's move on. You had a big meeting with Premier Malinauskas and Stephen Mulligan, the Treasurer. So give us some insights. Was it Chatham House rules, no talking about what happened behind closed doors, or can you give us some insights?
To be honest, guys, at the end of the day, we're advocating for the rec sector. We are trying to play catch up with, on a national scale, South Australia is looking pretty mediocre. Yeah. And it's really time that we get the appropriate resourcing, because we are the least under-resourced. We are the most under-resourced recreational sector in the country. And it just seems incredible. And that has nothing to do with recreational fishing licenses or anything like that. Is even touching on that, the rec fishing licenses isn't the solution. It's just it would be a complementary measure to add to that overall budget. But at the end of the day, we need meaningful input from the government to support what we're trying to achieve here. And the current Labor government has said that we want to see fishing as a vibrant and increasing space. The SA Tourism Commission has said $380 million comes in from interstate visitation and 800,000 people. It just seems incredible that we're not investing harder into essentially our lifeline on what's fueling South Australia. And if we're not looking out for it and we're having collapsed fisheries and we're having poor fishing outcomes, we've got low fish abundance, so people are less satisfied, people will just stop coming here. So it's really time to put the pedal down. We've got the capacity, we've got the drive, we've got the ability, we've got the people. RecFish SA have never been in a better spot to grab this sector with 2 hands and drive it where it needs to be, with the government as a partner working with us, and with any government for that matter. We don't really care. It's just we need to see some meaningful input into the sector, and with or without them, we're going to be pushing hard. I'm working 6 days a week. I'll flog out 70-hour weeks on the normal, and I'm absolutely pushing as hard as I possibly can for the recreational sector to just be a large booming sector that we all envisage it to be. And at the end of the day, that comes down to a lot of fish being around and beautiful, sustainable fishing practices.
Yeah, Asher, it's great. Well done on all that, and it's good to see that Malinauskas and co are hopefully getting on board. And we saw recently that there was the SA rec fishing sector with the SA Tourism Commission put that survey out. That's been finished, has it?
No, off the top of my head, it's still ongoing, I reckon. I might be wrong on that, but that's complementary to all the discussions we've been having with SATC. So they've been having meetings with all the various different stakeholders. Just for example, Department of Infrastructure or PIRSA or whatever, and we sit in on all those meetings as a joint stakeholder and go through and discuss all the various issues that exist within those sectors and how it affects recreational fishing from a tourism perspective. So it's a really interesting space because RecFish SA are not only advocating for South Australians, we're also advocating for the industry as a whole. And we need to look after the resource as that lifeline I discussed. And so many people are affected, including interstate. So West Coast is a prime example of that. Is it's one of those classics that, they're like, all the interstaters are taking all our fish, which is true sometimes, but they say, they're taking all our fish, these Mexicans, and then they go, actually, without them, our businesses doesn't survive, or our cafe doesn't survive. So, it has to go hand in hand. There needs to be a sustainable sort of balance, but tourism is the lifeline of a lot of these country towns. Whenever somebody goes more than 50 k's from Adelaide, it's considered tourism. So how many of us go away to the Yorke Peninsula or down south to Fleurieu over Christmas? It really needs to be looked after, and that's why SATC have weighed in, and they've absolutely leaned on RecFish SA to help drive that conversation and give them a huge education, because there's so many things that didn't really sit on their radar. Like you can evaluate a fish as a cost, a kingfish, for example. If you send it to market, killed it, and ate it, you'd get $10 a kilo, $12 a kilo. So that fish is worth, 10 kilo fish, it's $100. But kingfish, for example, are a catch and release species. So I'll go up there with Andrew Harris, our chair. We'll spend $500-$600 each, staying there on fuel, on bait, on you go to the pub for dinner. That fish is cost $500. I'll catch it, tag it, let it go. And then the next person does it. So that fish is now worth $1,000, and the next person does it. That's the $1,500 fish. And it's the same with mulloway and everything else, is they're starting to realise that the social value of fish is so much bigger than putting $1 per kilo value on it. And they're saying, this is incredible. We've completely underestimated how strong the fishing culture is, how strong the environmentally friendly practices are, the catch and release culture, is they haven't been able to quantify that in the past. And now working with RecFish, they're able to really quantify that and get a really good understanding of just what our fishing is worth and how important we need to fight to make sure that it stays sustainable.
You're exactly right, Asher. And if you keep sending blokes like us out, each fish might be worth about 10 grand by the time we catch one.
Yeah. Well, I reckon they've set off just spitballing. I reckon they've put the price per kilo of snapper when it was open at something like $50 a kilo to go out and catch it yourself, because of all the bait and the fuel and everything.
Exactly right.
It's no one's in it to save money. It's a sport and it's a lifestyle, and that's the thing is that's sort of underestimated, and especially with people with barrel fishing, especially, is the amount of money spent down at Port Mac is ridiculous. I've spent thousands, and I haven't even landed one yet. Yeah. It blows and I keep doing it because I'm a sucker. Yeah. But and I'll keep doing it. So we keep headed down there, spending a ton of money in regional towns, and it isn't to make money, that's for sure. You can't make money out of fishing. It's an absolute liability to the mortgage, but you're going to keep doing it because we care about it.
Absolutely. All right, Asher, one other thing we did want to touch on with you is the Opera House nets. So we did discuss this, Rody, didn't we, last time on our episode? Yep, and that's finished now. So give all the listeners out there a bit of a rundown of what's going on in that space, Asher.
Yeah, so this is sort of an evolving space, but the crux of it, I'll get started from the roots, which is Department of Environment came up with a project that relied on the removal of Opera House nets. And it wasn't this had nothing to do with the ban. That was always going to come into play. But this platypus program that come up to was one of the biggest risks to their program, was they could spend all this money and time and resources developing a platypus reintroduction plan, and then unfortunately they go into Opera House nets and perish, and that's hundreds of thousands of dollars probably wasted. So Green Adelaide have got this program going. It's really great. Everyone should definitely have a look at it. But Green Adelaide touched base and said, hey guys, we want to support this. We understand that you guys have come off your own backs. You've take a financial hit to support the environment, because those nets do kill turtles and water rats, which is ricali, and all those air-breathing animals. In the sake of sustainability and for national alignment, you guys will take a hit. And they said, let's reward that. So Green Adelaide have done an incredible thing by reaching out. They've committed $20,000 towards the Yabby Net Exchange program, and they're working with us to develop that and roll it out. So how exactly it's going to work, I'm still in consultation with that. Obviously, it's very hard to disperse money and things like that. So it'll probably be along the lines of the life jacket exchange program, because you've got all that the laws with like money laundering and things like that. So it'll have to be a program like that. But I'll continue developing it, and as soon as it's available, I'll most definitely be sort of communicating that with across all the media, and people can start sort of coming together. But Great Adelaide are really excited to see us do some sort of field day, and people can come along and learn all about rivers, habitats, fish health, as well as the platypus program they're working on while trading in their nets.
Beautiful. Sounds like we'll keep an eye on that one, and it'll be a bit of an evolving space over the next few months. So we'll make sure we keep all the listeners in on that one. Just to finish, Asher, we want to talk about what's sort of coming up next for RecFish. Hopefully lots more stocking of reservoirs. There's also the priority infrastructure stuff that's going on. Can you quickly touch on those two before we wrap up?
Yeah, yep. So SA Water have got a ton of fish booked for stocking. So they do speak with us about, giving some sort of guidance on what fish are good for where. Trout are great, but at the end of the day, if they've had a failed introduction over and over and over, at some point you've got to go, is it really worth spending all of our budget on fish that just won't take? And as you can imagine, trout need high oxygen, very cold water, very high water quality, which all the reservoirs are already that. But sometimes they just don't work. So we'll pivot on that and focus on putting the approved fish that do work in those reservoirs, and certainly get that moving along so that we can keep catching fish. The Warren got drained because of the valve had to be replaced. So all of those fish got shifted and caught, and it was an incredible thing to see all of these fish being netted and actually moved. A huge cost to SA Water and a massive credit to them that they actually put that commitment towards. They could have just knocked those fish off, but they shifted them with trucks. It was incredible. Shifted them to South Para, but now that's a clean slate. So we're very keen to see some sort of new innovative species put there. I don't know. We'll keep working through. But the priority infrastructure report is what we're working for. With Department of Infrastructure on. Huge amount of work needs to be put into South Australia, which is obviously what we're talking to the Premier with as well. So we need to put a lot of money into infrastructure, not just jetties. We've got boat ramps. For goodness sake, we're you can't wash down your boat. Some guys are dumping 200-gram boats in the water covered in squidding, and they can't even wash it off at the ramp. So all of those sorts of things we'll be covering off and presenting in a report for Department of Environment and the government to have a look at. And then they can actually start to assess and go, right, what's important to the community and what are they crying out for? So many times people go, we weren't consulted, we need to be spoken with. Absolutely, that's what we're doing now. And we're certainly going to be finding solutions for government, not just presenting them with problems. It's all good and well to complain and whinge about things, but at the end of the day, that's what RecFish are here for, to find solutions for government and to work through presenting it and then work through rolling it out as well.
Beautiful, Asher. That has been a hell of a lot of work you've been doing. You must have been a busy man over the last however many months. Have you been getting a fish in yourself?
Mate, I have not. I was just saying before, I got all the way down to Port Mac on Monday. So what's that? A few days ago. Sorry, 2 days ago. So I went all the way down there. The swell was non-existent. The wind was flat. Everybody was going out to the shelf, and everyone had these pictures of these big hapuka and these gem fish and all these really cool species and tuna. And then I was there on my laptop working in the town, and then having my meetings when everyone got in. So it was pretty rough, but I know I'm fighting the good fight and I'm in it for the right reason. But I have gotten out and recently and did some cod fishing on a private dam, and that was really cool. I bought some new surface lures, and I was really interested. I had this theory that the really big cod were eating water rats. Okay. And sure enough, in the dark, on the full moon, I was throwing my lure, and this 1 meter cod just absolutely annihilated it. And it was something off of Jurassic Park. There's this big weed bed, and I threw my little rat lure over, and I was winding it slowly, and I could see it popping along the surface in the moonlight. And then I saw all of the reeds behind it rustling and shaking, and that was this big cod just absolutely pushing his way through all the reeds and mowing down, and there was this big wake on the back of the lure for about 5 or 10 metres, and then you just saw the water open up in the moonlight like a 20-litre bucket just got sucked down, and there's my poor little lure. And the saddest part was my lure got sucked into this crevice like a sinkhole, and then nothing, just slack line. And then sure enough, up it pops again. The lure was too, this is a 20-centimetre lure, and it was still too small that the hooks didn't stick because his mouth was so damn big.
Wow.
So I know there's some big boys in there, and I will get them eventually, but not this time. But I still got some other ones like about 70 or 80 centimetres. So that was cool, but not that big 50-pounder that I've been chasing.
Oh, well, you'll be back there for it next time. Asher, you've been very insightful. Thank you for all your work. Keep up, like you say, keep fighting the good fight. We really do appreciate it. And thanks for coming on the show today to give us some insights. It's much appreciated. No problems at all, and anytime. If anyone has any questions, just email me or call me. And obviously, we're just launching our new membership. We've got shiny new membership cards, and we're also doing there's a whole heap of tackle stores around South Australia that are doing discounts for RecFish SA financial members. So you'll be able to flash your RecFish SA membership card and get a discount off your tackle. So we'll be announcing that over the next few days and rolling that out so that everyone can sort of get in on the action and obviously support a good cause at the same time.
Beautiful. That sounds like some breaking news for us, Diz. So we'll brag about getting that scoop. But thanks for coming on, Asher. No worries at all. Thank you. See you, mate. Dizzy, how good was that to hear the latest and greatest update from RecFish SA? It was excellent, mate. It really was good. We love hearing that from the executive officer there, knowing that he's putting in the hard yards. There's a lot of other people in the background there at RecFish doing their best for the 360,000 fishing people, RecFishers, and over $1 billion into the economy. Exactly right, Diz. You want to know my one little complaint? Okay. Remember on Easter I went on a houseboat trip? Oh, yes. Took the Opera House nets, thought, this is their last hurrah. They're getting banned soon. You threw them in the bin. What did I do with them? I chucked them in the skip bin getting off the houseboat. You absolute pelican. You could have got some money for them. I could have got some coin out of them, but anyway. You are a fool. I might go back to the Woolshed Brewery at Renmark and see if they're still in the skip bin. That guy's just going through his skip bin, just cashing in. Threw out 4. He slugged you a fortune for the houseboat, no doubt. But look, I'm all about supporting the Riverland. Don't get me wrong. They've been through a pretty rough time. Yeah. But there you are, just another sucker throwing a couple of Opera Houses in the skip. Anyway, Diz, I'm happy to be doing the right thing. Look, it's good that the Riccarlis aren't dying so quickly. Did actually see a Riccarli, rest in peace, on the trip. Good thing you didn't see a platypus, though. That would have been nasty business. And that's not to talk down Riccarlis. They're important too, Diz. Yeah, that's right. Rody, let's get into the fishing report because we've got a little bit to cover here.
Rody and Diz have been out on the water to bring you the news about where they're biting. Now it's time for the fishing report.
Rody, can we shout out Jake Keller, please? We've already shouted him out once this episode. Bag out local. Yeah, good on you, Jake. Great form, mate. And so the whiting are there if you know where to go. Yeah, we love that. And look, I'm not saying Jake Keller's the only person bagging out local. I'm definitely not saying that. He was probably the only one to bag out and send us a picture of the fish with the beanie. That's right. And that's why we love it. So everyone out there, take a leaf out of Jake Keller's book. You never know. You might win yourself a little prize pack for the month. Anyway, Rody, we move on. Barrels. Port Mac Charters and Habgood have put up some photos very recently of getting back onto some big tuna. Yeah. So they have gone quiet, but it's also been fair to say that there has been a pretty rough patch of weather. Yeah, and I think we did, it's hard to know what the moon's doing, but we did think it was going to get better as this month went on. Yeah, we did. I think mid-July we thought was when it might fire again. And if you want any tips, you need to go back a couple of episodes and listen to Habgood about when to go down there, how to target them. He's an absolute gun. He's caught heaps of fish. And if you want to listen to that episode and you're taking your boat down there, do that. If you don't, then you need to get on the Wanna Fish and chat with Tice. He'll get you on the fish down there for sure.
Exactly right, Diz. What about a bit closer to home, the salmon on the mid-coast?
Yeah, so salmon on the mid-coast, there's a comp running down there at a couple of local tackle stores, and people have been having some great catches. So really been great to see that. They need to be taken in there fresh. They can't be frozen. So they need to look fresh. You can't stick them, you can't catch a big one this year, whack it in your freezer and pull it out next year with frostbite all over it and put it in the comp.
This isn't a $5.1 million marlin competition in the US. We're not that desperate, mate.
That's right. But there's been some really good catches, Roddy. So the Port Noarlunga jetty has been firing.
Yep.
Elliston always does well. People heading over the far west coast, they do well on...
The Australian Salmon Comp?
Yeah, the Australian Salmon Comp. So if you're heading that way for either camping or you might be exclusively fishing, any big catches, get them in the comp. Any catches at all, really, just get them in the comp. But yeah, like I say, some locals down at Port Noarlunga telling me how much fun they've been having off the jetty. That weather, stirs them up.
Yeah, the rough weather can bring them in closer, I reckon. Behind the reef there at Port Noarlunga.
Yeah, that's it. Even some people just trudging the beach along at Southport will sometimes, because there's some really good viewing platforms there where you can just scope out the beach. So lovely place. Of course, if you're down there, though, rug up, man, it's cold. It's cold.
And Diz, the other one that fires this type of year is the squid.
Yeah, so really good squid catches, some big squid photos I've been seeing.
Jordan's fishing.
Yeah.
Jordan Saliba, he posted a big 2 squid.
Couple of big hoods.
Yeah, I think that was at Victor from memory. He tagged us in that one, so that was good to see.
Yeah, love that, Rody. That's good. And so, yeah, basically been some really good fishing across the state. Of course, it is winter whiting. Plenty of good catches out of your very typical locations. I thought Port Vic fishing charters the other day, really great post. Had everyone on edge. They sort of put up a video there of only one whiting in the bin, and then sure enough, next minute he pours a whole box of them in. They got the bag, so they're still doing well. They're catching plenty of fish down there.
Yeah, really rubbing it in, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, and they looked like some good healthy fish too.
Yeah.
Righto, Roddy, that'll just about wrap it up for today, I reckon.
It will, Diz. That was good to talk fishing again. Thanks to Asher from RecFish SA. He's the executive officer. He's working really hard, as all the team are. So thanks for him to coming on. And Diz, where can the listeners find us?
Well, you'll find us on Facebook, Instagram, all of the usual social media channels. We want you to share your photos. We want you to put your entries into the comps that we're running, because they are some fantastic prizes up for grab. Of course, we love Shimano throwing in their really great quality gear. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, or just follow us along on the socials. You'll be able to download it there.
We're going to go on TikTok soon?
Oh, jeez, could be. Far out. I don't think I can get my head around TikTok.
You said all the socials, and I was thinking, oh.
Except for TikTok.
We could get on TikTok.
Are we on Twitter?
We could get on Twitter too. I'm personally on Twitter.
All right. Well,
can I just say Twitter has blown up since that Ashes test?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Twitter's I don't mind Twitter. You get some good you get fast news off Twitter.
Oh, Piers Morgan's been copping it. It's great.
Oh, he's talking some rubbish. Johnny Bairstow, grow up.
All right, Diz, we should keep moving because this is getting
This is not a cricket podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll speak to you next time.
Rody and Diz hope you enjoyed today's episode of All the Gear But No Idea. Keep up to date by liking and sharing us on Facebook and Instagram. And you can subscribe on all the major podcast platforms. Until next time, good luck fishing.